Cricket is often defined by its giants, but its heart beats loudest in the battles between rising nations. On the morning of February 16, 2026, the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi played host to such a battle. The United Arab Emirates faced off against Afghanistan in a match 28 clash that carried the weight of tournament survival for the Afghans and the hope of a historic upset for the Emiratis. The air was crisp and the pitch a classic Delhi slow burner. When Rashid Khan won the toss and elected to bowl, he knew his world-class spinners would find purchase. But he perhaps didn't expect the fight the UAE was about to bring to his doorstep. The start was a nightmare for the UAE as Matullah Omarzai struck in the very first over, and by the second over, they were reeling at 13 for 2. The Afghan fans were already celebrating, sensing a quick collapse. But they hadn't accounted for the resilience of Sohaib Khan. Sohaib, playing in conditions he knew intimately from his days as a student in Delhi, played an innings of sheer class. He didn't just survive, he counterattacked. Alongside Alishan Sharifu, he built an 84-run stand that stunned the Afghan attack. Sohaib top-scored with a brilliant 68 off 48 balls, clearing the boundary 4 times. Despite Omarzai returning to dismantle the lower order with a career-best 4 for 15, the UAE reached a competitive 160 for 9. They had set a trap, and the pressure shifted firmly onto Afghanistan. Afghanistan's chase began with a shock. Junaid Siddique removed the dangerous Rahmanullah Gurbaz for a duck on just the second ball. Suddenly, the 161 target looked like a mountain. Ibrahim Zadran stepped up, playing the anchor role with a steady 53 off 41 balls. But the UAE bowlers refused to let the game slip away. Then, a moment for the history books occurred, not with the bat, but in the field. Rashid Khan, though focusing on the chase, had earlier claimed a wicket that made him the first player in history to reach 720 wickets. It was a milestone that briefly transcended the match. However, the game remained on a knife edge. When Zadran fell in the 14th over, Afghanistan were 97 for 4, and the Delhi crowd was witnessing the possibility of the biggest upset of the tournament. Enter Azmatullah Omarzai. Having already done the damage with the ball, he took the game by the scruff of the neck with the bat. With 17 runs needed from the final 2 overs, the tension was suffocating. Omarzai combined raw power with composure, smashing 3 sixes in a match-winning cameo. He finished unbeaten on 40 off just 21 balls, striking over 190. With a thumping boundary in the 20th over, he sealed a 5-wicket victory with 4 balls to spare. It was a heartbreaking end for the UAE, who had fought for every inch, but a moment of immense relief for Afghanistan. Match 28 was a testament to the growth of Asian cricket. Afghanistan found a way to win when their backs were against the wall, and Azmatullah Omarzai was the undisputed hero. We stand at the iconic Eden Gardens in Kolkata. It is February 16, 2026. On paper, match 29 looked like a formality. The defending heavyweights, England, against the rising associates, Italy. England needed a win to secure their Super 8 spot. Italy was playing for pride and a dream. What followed was a 40-over thriller that reminded us why we love T20 cricket. It wasn't just a match, it was a testament to how far the global game has come. England won the toss and chose to bat, but it was far from smooth sailing. Jos Buttler fell early, and while Phil Salt provided a spark, the Italian bowlers, led by Grant Stewart and Christian Kulugamage, refused to be intimidated. When Tom Banton holed out, England was reeling at 105 fifths. The prospect of an historic upset was echoing through the stands. But then came Will Jacks. In a display of pure, unadulterated power, Jacks transformed the innings. He smashed an unbeaten 53 off just 22 balls, recording the fastest T20 World Cup 50 by an Englishman. Alongside Sam Curran, he dragged England from the brink of a mediocre total to a commanding 202 sevenths. 78 runs came off the final 5 overs. That over surge would prove to be the difference. If England thought 202 was enough to cruise, they were mistaken. Despite Geoffrey Archer ripping through the top order in a terrifying opening over that left Italy at 1/2, the Italians didn't blink. Ben Menenti walked out and played an innings for the ages. He took on the world's best, smashing 60 off 25 balls, including 6 towering maximums. Alongside Justin Mosca, they put on 92 runs in just 48 deliveries. For a moment, the unthinkable was happening. The Kolkata crowd was on its feet as the Minnows went toe-to-toe with the Giants. They weren't just participating, they were hunting. In the end, it was England's depth and experience that stemmed the tide. Will Jacks, the hero with the bat, turned the game with the ball by dismissing Ben Menenti just as the game was sliding away. Then, the clinical Sam Curran and a revitalized Jamie Overton took over. Overton's figures of 3/18 were a masterclass in change-of-pace bowling, despite a late, defiant cameo from Grant Stewart, who refused to let the dream die until the final over. Italy was eventually bundled out for 178. England won by 24 runs, booking their ticket to the Super 8s. But the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. England leaves Kolkata with the points, but Italy leaves with the hearts of every cricket fan in the world. This match proved that the gap is closing. It showed us the brilliance of Will Jacks and the fearlessness of Ben Menenti. To England, congratulations on the Super 8s. To Italy, thank you for the fight. This wasn't just match 29. It was the day the world realized that in T20 cricket, no giant is safe. Thank you. We are gathered in the lush, mist-covered hills of Kandy at the Pallekele International Stadium. The date is February 16, 2026. The atmosphere is electric, a sea of blue and gold. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Sri Lanka, a win secures a spot in the Super 8s. For Australia, the world's number 2 side, it's a fight for survival after a shock loss to Zimbabwe. We are about to witness the first century of this World Cup and one of the greatest run chases in Sri Lankan history. Australia won the toss and looked set to bury the hosts under a mountain of runs. Mitchell Marsh and Travis Head launched a ferocious assault, racing to 104 for 0 in just 9 overs. The Pallekele crowd was silenced as Marsh hammered 5 consecutive 4s in a single over. But cricket is a game of shifting momentums. The introduction of leg spinner Dushan Hemantha changed everything. He dismissed Head for 56, and then the collapse began. From 104 without loss, Australia's middle order crumbled against the turning ball. Hemantha, finishing with 3/37, and Dushmantha Kamira dismantled the power hitters. Australia lost their final 6 wickets for just 21 runs, finishing 181 all out. A target of 182 was competitive, but given their start, the Aussies felt 20 runs short. Sri Lanka's reply started with a stutter as Kusal Perera fell early to Marcus Stoinis, but that brought Kusal Mendes to the crease to join Pathum Nissanka. What followed was a counterattack of surgical precision. Nissanka didn't just bat, he painted. He drove with elegance and pulled with authority. Alongside Mendes, who played a vital supporting role with 51 off 38, they put on a 97-run stand that broke the back of the Australian spirit. Even as Adam Zampa tried to find a breakthrough, Nissanka remained untouchable. By the time Mendes departed, the equation was firmly in Sri Lanka's favor, and the Kandy crowd was sensing a historic night. The final act belonged to Pathum Nissanka, with Pavan Rathnayake providing late fireworks. Nissanka accelerated toward a personal and national milestone. In the 18th over, with the stadium on its feet, he tucked a delivery away to reach 100, not out off just 52 balls. His second 20-I ton and the first century of the 2026 World Cup. 1 ball later, Rathnayake smashed the winning boundary. Sri Lanka chased down 182 with 12 balls to spare, winning by 8 wickets. It was the highest successful T20I chase ever recorded on Sri Lankan soil. The Lions hadn't just won, they had dominated. As the fireworks light up the candy sky, the implications are clear. Sri Lanka is through to the Super 8s with a perfect record. Australia, meanwhile, is left in the lap of the gods, staring at a premature exit. Tonight, we celebrate a clinical bowling comeback and a batting masterclass by Pathum Nissanka. Sri Lanka isn't just a host, they are a threat.